I'm here with Christoph. He has been my student since he's a white belt. He's from Belgium in Europe, and now he's living in Mexico. He has an academy in Leon. And I invited him to show some techniques on the Americana. He has been doing this very well. He has a very good combination. And he's going to be showing a little series and some tricks about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe. If you could please lie down. Okay. I'm going to start by teaching the basic Americana, like many people know. Like probably all of you guys were taught how to do the Americana like this, but just to go over the details, this is the way I teach my beginner students. You're on top of the mount. The guy is defending the arms and the neck. You're going to put one hand on the wrist, one hand on the elbow. You slightly bend the arms. They're not completely stretched. You slightly bend the arms, and now you're going to put your weight on the arm. Okay? So you're not going to push the arm down with your arms. You're going to push with your shoulders, with your weight. Okay? You're going to treat your arms as if they were springs. Okay? So you're going to push with your weight. If the guy is very strong and he's resisting, you have all the time. You're not losing strength here. You're just leaning on his arm until it falls. Boom. When it falls, you go down with the elbow next to the neck. He has to make space for this. If you feel that you're on top of his head, you don't go out to make space. No. You go down with your elbow. He has to go away with the head because it's uncomfortable. Only when your elbow touches the ground, this hand that is holding his elbow goes under his bicep tricep, grabs the wrist. Very important detail, you grab the two wrists, both his and yours, with the monkey hand, which means the 5 fingers, and you make sure that the knuckles are on the far end of the arm. What do I mean with this? You don't grab with the fingers, you grab all the way that your knuckles is on the top line of the wrist. So you have a very secure grip. You go down, elbow on the mat, you go underneath, you grab the wrist, and this is a figure 4 lock. You're very secured here. Now you want to put his forearm as low as possible and as close to his body as possible, while the backside of his hand, or in preference his little pinky finger, are kept in contact with the ground. You want to go down, but you cannot. Your knee is there. So you're going to move your weight a little bit to your other side. You're going to put your hips down. You're going to slide down. You're going to put his forearm as close as you can to the body. Felipe already tapped because there's a lot of pressure, but you do it as close as you can, and there you lift the elbow while not losing the contact with the mat. So let's do that one more time. He's defending the neck and the arms. Very, very strong position here. You put one hand on the wrist, one hand on the elbow. You bend the arms a little bit. You push from the shoulders with your weight. You push. If he's strong in weights, you're not getting tired. You're putting the weight. He's going to get tired. Boom, until the forearm is on the ground. You keep the weight on the forearm, and you go down with your elbow. He has to move out to make space for the elbow to touch the ground. Only when your elbow touches the ground, you take this hand off the elbow, you go under his bicep tricep, you take your own wrist, and you hold his wrist. Very close. Here you want to slide the forearm down while maintaining the contact of the backside of his hand or his little pinky finger with the ground. You cannot, because of your knee, you reposition, but you stay low with your hips. You don't go up. No, you stay low, you go down. You can stretch the leg or you can keep it bent, but you slide his arm down, and you're going to try to put his forearm as low and as close to his body as possible. Boom. When it's there, he already taps. If he doesn't tap and it's very close, you keep the pressure of your 2 hands on his wrist on the ground, and with your arm that is under his elbow, you lift his elbow very slightly, and he's going to tap. Okay? So you don't want to do this. You want to go very slightly. That's the first. Okay, so now you guys saw the basic Americana. You have the feel for the basic details, how you make the pressure come on and the submission come in. So now we're going to see a variation that's maybe a little bit more advanced and more suitable for competitors. Felipe, if you please. So, if we try to do this basic Americana in competition, to be honest, it's almost impossible. I cannot remember that I ever did it, because you're working here. He can bridge when you go there, or he pushes with the other hand to free it, and it's very difficult. So a lot of people say, the Americana is difficult, I don't do it, and they go to other things. Well, there's a very good solution to separate this arm to attack it in the later stage. He's there doing the same defense of his neck, of his arms, that there's no armbar, there's nothing. I'm not going to touch anything, I'm just going to go down and put pressure of my chest on his chest. When I'm here, I'm going to wiggle a little bit, trying to separate his two hands. If I don't separate them, we're going to see a solution for that, but I'm going to be here. When I'm having this contact, my weight on his chest, I'm going to lift his head, and I'm going to slide my arm under his head. A very important detail, I'm not just going to slide my arm under, because my weight stayed in the middle of him, but I lost this position. So now if he bridges to the right for him, it's very easy to bridge me off. So a very important detail, I'm here in the middle, I'm going to put my arm under, and together with my arm, I'm going to slide my body to the right for me, to the left side of his body. Okay? So my center line is on the line that connects his shoulder with his hip. This makes it, if he bridges to this side, I have this hand to defend. If he wants to bridge to the other side, all my weight is there, so it's going to be difficult. And obviously when he bridges hard, I can even go lower, I can even hook this leg, I hook in his foot, in his posture foot for the bridge. So there's many things that I can do to stay in this position. Which is your first concern? And when you do this, the first thing they're going to do is try to push you off, try to escape. So you establish a good position, he does not escape, you separate it to two hands. I have the hand that we're going to attack right in front of me, and the other hand is out of the game. It's in the other side. I'm going to try to connect my chest, my ribs to his chest, so there's no space for the other hand to come and bother me doing the Americana. Now that I have his hand separated, I'm going to come with my free hand, and I'm going to push his hand to the mat. If he's fighting, if he's struggling, if he stretches his arm, I can even stretch it down, touching the mat, and then I go in a circular motion to feed it to my other hand. My other hand is not going to move to look for this wrist. This hand is going to feed his wrist to this hand. I'm going to take the same monkey grip to hold it. When it's here, you shouldn't be able to free. Even with one hand, if you try to stretch or whatever, you should be able to keep this grip. The closer the hand is to the head, the more difficult it is for him to put strength on it, for the positioning of the arm. Then I have this arm free to go the same under the bicep tricep. I grab my own wrist like we did before, and now I'm going to push off my two hands on top of the wrist that I'm holding. I'm going to take this as a base, I'm going to push off, and I'm going to stretch my arm out until his head is free, and then I'm going to go down with the elbow. Now I'm much closer to his neck, so he has to move a lot more. If he doesn't move, I'm going to push the neck, which is very uncomfortable. He has to move out to make space for my elbow. What I try to avoid is from here to, there's no space for my elbow, so I go far away to make the space with my elbow, because the further away the arm, the easier it is for him to defend. I want to keep his hand as close to his head as possible. So I'm here, I'm moving to the side, I'm putting his wrist on the ground, I'm feeding it to my other hand, I'm going underneath, I'm grabbing my wrist, I stretch my elbow and I push it down. He has to make space, he goes away from my elbow, boom, it's on the ground. As soon as my elbow is on the ground, look, this is just like in the basic technique that I explained in the first video. I'm going to slide down, I'm going to make space, I'm going to stay low with my hips, I'm going to go down on his body, I'm going to slide down, put his forearm as close to his body as I can, and I lift the elbow down. Okay? Let's do that one more time. Let's slide a little bit that you see from another angle. So, instead of attacking the arm, I'm going to go down with my chest in the middle of his two arms. Obviously, he's not going to connect his arms completely. There's always going to be an open space, and that's where I'm going to put my chest. So I'm going to go down. I can wiggle a little bit to make space. I'm very open. If he bridges here, I'm perfectly safe. Then I'm going to put my arm under. I'm not only going to slide my arm under, I'm going to move my whole body to the side. So there's no way that he can bridge. He bridges there, I have my hand. If he bridges to the other side, I have all my weight. The detail that I said, if he's a very strong guy with a very good posture, the leg that pushes for the bridge to that side is going to be this leg. If I feel that he's very strong, that I almost go, I hook here and I push my hip down. This is going to save me. When he goes back, I put my knee up again. Okay, this has helped me a lot from not falling over. Okay, I'm here. The first thing that I do is keep the position. He's giving up a little bit. I have the arm in front of me. This arm is going to look for the arm. I'm going to push it down and feed it to this hand. If I grab it and he stretches his arm to prevent this, here I'm not going to bend it to bring it, because that's strength against strength. I'm going to go in a big circular motion up, and here it's going to bend, and I'm going to feed it. When I fed it, I have the monkey grip. I'm going to keep his hand as close to his head as possible. Now this hand can come under his bicep and his tricep, and I'm going to grab my own wrist. Here, I'm gonna push with all my weight to keep his hand on the mat. This cannot move. I'm gonna push, I'm gonna free the elbow, and I'm gonna push down on his neck. If he taps for that, perfect. If he doesn't want to tap for that, he has to move away from my elbow. And all of this makes it very tight. Okay? So I have my elbow on the ground. From here, I'm gonna go down. I want to go down, my knee is in the way, so I can go down like this, or I can stretch down like this. I'm going to move his forearm as close to his body, and I'm going to tap him. If I stretch my leg like this, it's very easy for him to take the half guard from here. Very easy. Doesn't matter if he takes the half guard from here, and I'm already here, the submission is already on. So this is not a major concern, but if you want to prevent this, you can keep your leg under his leg, you can keep your foot under his leg and your knee closed, but your weight has got to be low and still on top of his body, that he cannot bridge. Something that helps preventing him from bridging is the fact that this arm is in this position on the ground, because now, bridge me to the other side, he doesn't have the strength. If I let go of this, he can easily bridge me. But with his arm here, it's very difficult for him to bridge. So it's a very safe position, but your weight has got to be on top of him. So you go down and you tap. Okay, Felipe, that was the Americana more in a competition mode. Let's see maybe now the most common reaction to that, to defend this, and how to deal with that. So, I'm doing all the previous. I'm coming down, bring his head up, so I roll my body to the side. I want to push his hand down, but instead of his hand being here, he's like a good fighter. He's already trying to open the leg to escape the mount. He's already going this side. He already brought the elbow in, which is a good reaction. And he's going to try to push my knee down to bring the leg. This is actually not too difficult. I just grab the wrist and like a lever, I can push it down and do the same thing. Okay? A little bit more difficult is when they hide the arm, they stretch it downwards, they grab my leg, my back, and here I'm not going to fight to bring the arm because it's going to be very difficult. Instead, what I'm going to do is see all the open space that I have here. So with all this open space, I'm going to forget about the arm, and I'm going to come with my hand to almost tickle his throat. I'm going to come in and I'm going to slide my hand over his windpipe. I'm going to slide over his windpipe, put my fingers and the backside of my fingers of my hand on top of his throat. When he allows me to do that, I'm going to grab with my hand inside my sleeve, and I'm going to go with my sleeve until they reach the knuckles. Very important. Until they reach the knuckles and they pass them. I grab and I put to the side of my hand on the mat, and now I have this construction, like a U. Okay? And now I'm going to slide the whole. Here is his windpipe. My hand is just on top of it. My hand is just on top of it, and I have this. Now I'm going to slide all of this construction, boom, to the side until the side of my sleeve is going to touch his neck. Okay? I'm not going to take what most people do. They go for the Ezekiel and they try to fit it here, and that results in that they turn the hand to put the fingers in, and they hurt their fingers. When doing the Ezekiel, it's very important that you turn the hand downwards, that you're on the side of the hand. So this move allows you put the fingers on the neck, on the windpipe. This allows you to adjust your hand just fine. You have the open space, and then you move everything, boom, to the side. This hand, the hand that is on top of his windpipe, goes down as if you want to grab your own forearm. You're going to go and reach to grab your own forearm, while the other hand stays down, and you're going to lift the elbow that is under his head. You're going to lift, and with this, you're going to put the Ezekiel. Okay? So the hand that's grabbing the sleeve is going down, you make a fist and you turn it down, the elbow is going up, and the hand that is on top of his windpipe is going to grab the forearm. Boom, like that. Ezekiel. Let me show you a very small detail and a very common defense when you're trying to do the Americana in this way, that you trap the head. So, just like the way I've been showing in the previous video, he's defending his neck, his arms, his clothes, but some people, instead of keeping the hands open, they like to close here, clinch the wrists. So now I'm doing the same. I'm going down, I'm trying to separate, I'm lifting the head, I'm going sideways, but his fists are still together, and it's very difficult to separate them. Here, if I'm going to try to separate them by strength, it's strength against strength. I can put my arm here and push with my chest, but it's mainly going to be with somebody, a strong guy of my weight, or even a guy heavier. It's going to be very difficult. So rather than doing that, let me turn a little bit. rather than doing this, sometimes I always put my elbow in my hip and I push from my hip on. But if it's a strong guy, almost impossible to break this grip. So what I do is I act as if I'm trying to break the grip, but I don't put all my weight. So the guy gets very strong here, and if all the strength in his weight is here, his elbow is very loose. So I'm going to act as if I'm pushing here, then I'm going to slide down, and I'm going to push his elbow up next to his head. Boom. When I have it here, I'm going to grab it with the hand that I have on, and I keep my chest on it. And then I'm going to slide to his forearm, and then I'm going to push his forearm over his head. Boom. And here they're going to open. This angle and the elbow high is going to make it going to be very difficult for them to keep the hands clenched together. So I'm going to open it, I'm going to push the wrist on the ground, and I'm going to feed it to the other hand, and the sequence you already saw in the previous video.
Okay, now I asked Christoph to show one hand Americana that he has developed. When he started doing this, in the first time he tried, I said, hey, don't do that, that's wrong, that technique doesn't work, but it didn't took me too long to see that it actually works very good. He has done in tournaments many times, and it's very successful. So watch his details.
So the beginning is the same. I'm here, the guy is defending. I'm going to go down with the chest. I'm going to open. I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to feed the hand. All these things, no problem. I'm going to go underneath. And now the guy is going to hold either my elbow with his hand, or going to hold his head. Or he's going to put his hand on his head. The two are doing the same thing, prevents my elbow of coming. And if my elbow cannot come to the other side, to do the Americana from here is impossible. Some guys who are very stiff in the shoulder might tap for it, but don't depend on this. This is not a way to do the Americana from here. So, if you cannot pass the elbow, a lot of people here say, better that I give up the Americana and try to do something else, but you don't have to. The hand is already very close to his head, so the hand that is holding his wrist at this moment is going to bring it in a little bit more to bring it under the hand that is holding your own wrist. Okay? You're going to grab his wrist, and the hand that was originally grabbing his wrist is going to go on his arm or in his armpit, wherever you want. And now, with this arm, you're going to lift his head up and away from his hand, and with the hand that's holding his wrist, you're going to push his wrist down and away from his head. Of course, the wrist is already on the ground, but you're going to slide down and away from the head. So you're going to separate them, and this is going to make the pressure on the shoulder, which is similar to the Americana. So one more time from the side. I'm going to start exactly the same. I'm here, I'm pushing my chest on his chest, I'm sliding to the side. I'm going to push the wrist on the ground, feed it to the other hand. I'm going to go under, grab my wrist. I'm going to keep his hand very close to his head, but he's holding my elbow now, or putting his hand on his head. The two do exactly the same. I cannot pass my arm to the other side, which makes that I cannot do the Americana. The hand that is grabbing his wrist is going to come in to feed the wrist this time to the other hand. I try to avoid to go to the wrist because I'm going to do this with my hand and it makes it weak. If I do that, I grab it, he stretches the arm when I change and I lose it. So I try to avoid doing that. It's not the worst thing that can happen because you're here and you feed it again and you try it again. You can try this a million times. There's nowhere that he's going to go. But try to avoid it. The way to avoid it is to bring the hand, his wrist, under the hand that's going to take it and grab it. You change. You're here, then the other hand is free. It goes to the armpit. It doesn't have to go there, but it goes to the armpit. It's a comfortable position. And then I'm going to lift his head up and away from his wrist. And I'm going to push his wrist down and away from his hand, from his head. So you do this and you put the same pressure.
What I feel is that the pressure is a little bit different from the Americana. It's not so much on the shoulder, but a little bit more on the elbow. He puts in a weird angle. So I suggest when you're doing it with somebody to be careful. If maybe the person doesn't know the pressure, doesn't want to tap, and it might pop the elbow a little bit. So you have to be careful, just like with any other techniques.
Actually, it's very good that Felipe says that. I already, one time in competition and a couple of times in training, I've been doing this, and people feel like there's pressure, but they're not going to tap. But what you're going to do is you're going to keep going like this, and until they tap or something snaps. And sadly enough, I felt or heard something snap already. If he doesn't tap, you're going to keep going until here, and you can go very far. So basically, you're going to end with his arm turning all the way up here. That's how far you can turn. It's that easy for you to do this movement. You're going to go down and away from the head, and it's going to go there. So basically it's a move that doesn't need a lot of strength, and you can go even for flexible guys, you can go very far. I once did it in a competition to a guy that went almost all the way until here. I'm sure that he never tapped for Americana or something similar, and then in the moment he said it's going too far and he tapped, it snapped. And I think he broke a ligament. Not the actual elbow, but a ligament. Thank you very much. Thank you much.